Hey, what's up? Dave with Brazos Barbell. So today's video I think is one that most people will be able to implement very easily and really have a positive impact on people's deadlift right away. So one of my most recent videos, titled Squat in the Box, has been one that I've received many positive messages from clients and others, people that I work with every day with their technique, that this one video was something that had a bigger impact on how their squat feels very quickly, more so than a lot of the very technical things. And I don't think that that's surprising, but I think sometimes we get caught up in the weeds and some of the technicalities or very technical things with some of the movements and miss some of the bigger picture things that we can really just simplify and have some of these things really click. So I wanted to make a video about deadlifts in a similar vein as what I did with that squat video, and hopefully have people come to a clearer understanding of what the deadlift should look like, feel like, mentally, visually, whatever. So with the deadlift, the absolute most critical portion of the deadlift is how we're initiating the pull. So that means how we're setting up, how we're pulling slack, how we're just getting the right balance with the whole lift in general. Now, that's a difficult thing because we don't have an opportunity to feel the weight before we're actually connected to it, before we're actually starting to pull. So we need to find a way to be able to come up with a good system to know what our starting position will be. So many people have problems with knowing what pull slack means. That cue is always around. I use it all the time. Many of my videos reference it. And it's just something that I think doesn't click for lots of people. And we're probably doing it the wrong way. I think we all know what a deadlift looks like when people don't leverage well, when they don't pull slack well, people just ripping the bar off the floor.
There you go. There you go, Matt. There you go, Matt. There you go, Matt.
And those deadlifts are never successful. So actually, one of the things that we can do today is look at somebody who has transitioned from a very bad looking deadlift, somehow starting off with a fairly strong pull, but has come to be one of the best deadlifters in the world. And for that, we're going to look at some videos from You Wren. So he sent me some of these videos. He's been posting on his Instagram, so I'll have his handle in the below in the description so you can follow him. Absolutely worth a follow, and thank you for sending me these videos. But his deadlift has come a very long way from just a few years ago, and now I think he's pulled reps with over 800 as an 83 kilo lifter, so pretty incredible stuff is what he's doing. But the biggest change that he's had with this deadlift is he's fixed his starting position. So if we look at his videos, what we see before is that he was very crouched. He was really sitting too low with the bar, trying to pull really aggressively off the floor. Now, when we look at him, his starting position is much smoother, much more consistent. He gets into a much more stable kind of leveraged position off the floor rather than just trying to pull with as much intensity as he possibly can. So where I think many people go wrong is they hear this idea of pulling slack. And most of the time where they mess up is they're thinking that they need to hold the bar close to him. We even have many cues, tight back, tight lats, squeeze the bar or squeeze your armpits, those kind of things. And I personally never really cue those things until we're sure somebody is in the right position. So almost always weak lats and a weak back are not the problem. It's how they're getting set up. Certainly there can be limitations as far as strength, and those things can be addressed. Holistically though, if we focus on the starting position, we'll have a lot more success with many people changing how their deadlifts look just by going after that. So there's even sometimes we'll have coaches that have bands pulling the bar away. To me, this is missing the real root of the problem. It's not that people are having their shoulders fall forward, the bar drift away because they're not pulling in the bar far enough. It's because they're not setting up far away from the bar and leveraging appropriately. So practically, what can we do? Most of these issues will happen with your setup and when we're using very light weights. So what we can do is we can come up with some easy solutions, just like with the squatting in the box, trying to figure out what to feel, goblet squats, those kind of things were exercises that I think have a major impact. With us, we're going to use pause deadlifts and tempo deadlifts especially for sumo tempo deadlift work. Touch and go reps with conventional tend to be a pretty productive tool. So, but still a controlled descent with those. But one of the things that I think people underestimate is how much effort goes into actually pulling slack out of the bar. And I'll say out of the bar, but really we're talking about out of your body, really creating as much length in your shoulders as we can. If we watch my videos, we'll see that the bar is bending when I'm just pulling myself away from the bar, when I'm trying to pull my arms long, when that bar bends. It takes a significant amount of weight to actually have the bar bend. I'm using a Ohio Power Bar, and the bar probably doesn't noticeably bend until it has about 500 pounds on it. So if we look at the bar bending in this video, I'm pulling with about 500 pounds before I'm even rotating into the bar. So what this means is I'm not going to be able to get in the same position with less than 500 pounds as I do with 500, 600, 700 pounds. So we have to have a different way. I think that's where people mess up, is the way that they're pulling slack with very heavy weights is going to be different than what it is with really light weights. Those light weights should come off the floor. They should float. So if we're trying to get in a position where the bar is just resting on the floor, you're not pulling slack nearly hard enough. So what we can do is we can actually use that to our advantage with that weight being light. Pick the bar up, or set yourself in a position, use the top-down setup, all those kind of things. But what we'll do here will help you find your top-down setup. But try to stay as far away from the bar as you can. Then the bar should leave the floor as a part of you pulling slack, as a part of you rotating. Then pause. Let the bar hang off the floor. Let your arms hang. Let yourself relax. Try to open up, right? With conventional, obviously you won't be opening up, but you should be trying to feel your arms really hanging long, but still fighting for neutrality in your back. We're not just trying to totally melt. So over time, what we'll do by rotating into the bar, having the bar leave the floor, relaxing those arms, as the weight gets heavier, we still want to do all those things. We just get more and more aggressive. Obviously, with 700 pounds, I can't make the bar float off the ground just with that effort, but with 1 plate, 2 plates, I certainly can. But that effort is exactly the same from those light loads all the way up to the heavy loads. I just bring more intensity to it so that when I'm able to rotate and actually get into it, that slack that I'm pulling out of my arms, out of my body, and out of the bar is that same slightly above the ground pause position that I was in when I was just relaxing with that 1 plate. So after we find that good starting position, that position with the slack pulled out of the bar, out of our body that we want to be in, we just have to add aggression. We just have to, as we're increasing weight, that big rotation, how much we're pulling out of it, goes from trying to be relaxed and hanging long to really actively trying to pull all the slack out of my arms and rotating aggressively. So we don't want to cue tight back. We don't want to cue those kind of things. Those things will happen because we're pulling far away and we're leveraging appropriately and we're in a much more balanced position. So to find that better balanced position, we can use other exercises. We can do things like tempo deadlifts for sumo, touch and go reps, but with kind of a slow controlled eccentric for the conventional. And we'll be able to find a much more efficient position, just like we do with squatting. With squatting, it's easy most of the time to find where we need to be in the hole because we have the whole eccentric to feel where our balance needs to be. With deadlifts, we can create that during our warm-ups because we're not going to have that opportunity, but we just have to have some feedback to be able to find where we really need to be. So with these, after doing those pause reps, just trying to open up, trying to feel my arms hanging long, I tend to go into these sumo reps, or not sumo reps, tempo reps, or touch and go reps. And from here, I'm just trying to feel as short of a stroke, the efficient pull as possible, right? I'm touching the ground, staying far away from the ground in that position, and just trying to make my deadlift feel as efficient as I possibly can with no wasted movement. So on the way down, by emphasizing control through that movement, we can feel where our body wants to move, right? If the hips slightly drift back, or if we're moving too much back, we'll feel that. If it's too much knee movement, we feel those things, and we find a much more balanced, tall, upright position, all of those kind of things. Certainly there'll be fine tuning that needs to be done after that. Plenty of other videos on this channel that can help you fine tune past getting a good blueprint from where you need to be. So those things can really, really help find the starting position, and then from there help you pull slack and be more aggressive and all of that. So if we get those two things rock solid, everything else in the deadlift will become much, much easier. So beyond that, some other exercises you can do would be just learning how to hinge better. That seems to be one of the biggest issues that so many lifters have surprising issues with. Like, we get into powerlifting too soon and we're just learning how to do these sumo deadlifts and squats, whatever, but we're not learning how to move well enough. So I'm finding myself programming a lot more stiff leg deadlifts now than I have in the past. So with myself too, I'm really enjoying them, and I'm programming for other lifters. And I think it's really helping, for one, helping people find a hinge, but beyond that, it really challenges people to leverage well against the bar and feel loaded before they start to pull. With the stiff leg deadlift versus something like an RDL or whatever, we're going to be doing a dead stop from the floor every time, but then with that high hip position and with the back as neutral as possible. From there, we have to be loaded well, feeling it at our hamstrings in this case, but really just balanced against the bar to be able to move it appropriately without having a major shift in our body, shift in our balance. And just having reps with that, with something that's kind of outside of our comfort zone, but makes you leverage well. Again, it will challenge actually your lat strength, but really work on the positioning and the feelings of pulling slack or leveraging against the bar in general. So if you get that concept down, pulling slack, finding your balance, then so many other issues with the deadlift are just easy to take care of. So anyway, if this video is helpful, give me a thumbs up, subscribe to the channel, and we'll see you next time.